Matt Bernie, you're taking a look at the All-Stakes Pick 4 sequence at Laurel Park Saturday afternoon. Races 7 through 10, everything anchored by the Federico Tessio, the 3-year-old prep leading into the Preakness Stakes at Pimlico in a few weeks. The first post, or the first race of this sequence, I should say, is race number 7, the $100,000 Dahlia Stakes for fillies and mares going a mile on the turf. Scheduled post time for this race is 4:10 Eastern. Again, all stakes, races 7 through 10. The Dahlia, there's one horse they're all going to need to beat, and I have to be honest with you, for me, very similar to the way that I played the Charlestown Pick 4 sequence. If you can find that video over on video.drf.com or the Daily Racing Forums YouTube channel, I'm only going to play backups in here. I'm going to play A's with a C, lone C's. Not going to use any B's in here, get anything crazy. But Tickermaker, it's beautiful. You can go in, punch in these sort of letters, hit the bet now button, and you'll be good to go. For me, there's one A in this race and only one A. It's Hawksmoor. She's just going to take a world of beating in here for Arnaud Delacour and Julien Leparoux. She's tactical. She can go to the front. She can sit just off. A little bit of a peculiar starting off point for her 5-year-old campaign, considering she's done nothing but running graded stakes races since being brought here to the United States. At the same time, I think this is just a starting off for something bigger and better down the road. And simply put, I think she's better than these horses. I think she's going to get through here. If I'm going to use some backups, because if you can beat her, all of a sudden this pick 4 sequence turns into a very, very juicy proposition. I'm going to use 2 C's in this spot. The number 1, Compelled. I've never been the biggest fan of Compelled. I respect the connections greatly, and I think she's a little bit better than maybe her form would indicate. She's had some difficult trips in certain races, and I just think maybe we haven't seen her best just yet. Even her best, to be frank, I don't think is good enough to beat Hawksmoor. But if for some reason Hawksmoor's not ready to go off the bench, if she has some trouble or whatever else it may be, I think Compelled is an interesting alternative, as well as the number 8 horse in here. I'm Betty G for Mike Maker. She's rock solid. She shows up. She runs her race. She's going to be forwardly placed. She'll probably be in a very similar position to that of Hawksmoor. I wonder if there's a scenario you try to get a little bit of race riding. Does Kendrick Carmouche try to pin in a horse like Hawksmoor? We'll find out how things shake down. My 2 C's in here are the 1 and the 8. My lone A in race number 7 is Hawksmoor, the number 4 horse. Let's move on to race number 8. This is the Weber City Miss. 3-year-old fillies going a mile and 16th on the main track. It's going to be a fascinating race. The 7-5 favorite Shamrock Rose. I'm going to use her, but I'm going to go with 4 A's in here because I don't trust her really all that much in here for Mark Cassier. It's stretching out in distance greatly, going from 6 furlongs to 8.5. The one time that they've tried to go longer with her, or one of the times they tried to go longer with her, I just don't like the way that she finished in that run 2 starts back in the Busher. The Busher as a whole, I understand My Miss Lily came back to win the Demoiselle, but not really thrilled with that form. I really, really liked the debut effort from Good One Honey, the inside runner for Jason Egan. I'm not sure how far she wants to go, but she galloped out like an absolute monster in that 6 furlong race. It was a maiden 40, but she was in for the waiver tag, so she was not allowed to be taken. She was slow out of the gate. I thought it was a day when inside did very well. She was toward the outside, or vice versa, excuse me. I thought outside did well that day. She was toward the inside. I thought it was just a tremendous effort all around, and if she can successfully stretch out to 2 turns, I think she's a very, very interesting candidate in here, and at a number that's probably going to get lost in the shuffle. So I'm going to lean on her a little bit. I'm going to also use the 4, as I talked about, Shamrock Rose. I'll use the 7 and the 8 as well. I've always been a fan of Indy Union. I tried to make her in the Demoiselle in her most recent start final race as a 2-year-old. I thought she just kind of never got involved. The blinkers go on for Jeremiah Engelhart. I think there's something there. That run 2 starts back was too good to think that she can't run whatsoever. I'll also use Layla Noor. Not a big fan of Layla Noor. She's going to be coming from off the pace in a race where I'm not sure how much pace there actually is signed on, but I have to acknowledge that one of her best runs is probably good enough to get the job done, or at least be close to it in here. As far as a backup is concerned, I'll go with the 3 Blue Union Rags. Pedigree-wise, this horse is supposed to want to run all day for John Service. 2 victories back-to-back at Laurel Park, one of them going a 1-turn mile, one of them going a mile and a 16th, so distance is not going to be an issue for her. And, she's a little bit slow on paper, but if you think that there's a forward move here, and let's be honest, it's not like this is the fastest group of 3-year-old fillies you're ever going to find. Blue Union Rags could be an interesting sort of alternative at a bigger number. So for me, 4 A's and 1 C in this race. Race number 8, the Weber City Miss. The A's are the 1, the 4, the 7, and the 8. The backup, the C, is a 3. Let's move on to race number 9. This is the Henry S. Clark 1 mile on the turf course. Really nice group of horses put together. I'm only going to go 2 deep in here with 2 A's. Everybody and their brother is going to be using Ring Weekend. Understandably so. He's a very, very talented horse. He has a tremendous sort of track record. He's over $1.5 million in career earnings for Graham Motion. if he runs his best race, he's simply going to win this one. I thought it was a little bit of a disappointing effort most recently in the Mervyn Muniz, but you needed to be more forwardly placed over that Fairgrounds turf course as that meet went on. He was not. I think Ring Weekend is strictly the horse to beat in here, but I'm also going to use sort of the X factor in here for Trey Abbott. The number 7, Celebration. First time Lasix. Leparoux takes them out. This is a decent horse. He was running in handicaps over there in Europe. But from a time form standpoint, his run most recently, that was back in October at Cork, and 3 starts back at Tickermaker, he's not too far off. If you think the Lasix go on and he moves up into that sort of mid-1-teen range, 115, 116, he's got a puncher's chance from a time form standpoint. And he's won again. He might be sort of in that 5, 6, 7 to 1 range, and I think that could be good value in a race like this, particularly because I think so many people are going to key in on Ring Weekend in the Henry S. Clark. So for me, 2 deep in here, 2 A's, the number 4 and the number 7. That gets us to the anchor leg of this Pick 4 sequence, all stakes Pick 4 at Laurel on Saturday afternoon, the Federico Tessio, the local prep for the Preakness Stakes. I'm going to go 4 deep in here, 3 A's and a C. My A's are the 2, Still Having Fun, the 4, Noble Commander, and the 6, Diamond King. Still Having Fun, a little bit green in that most recent start, first time going 2 turns in the private terms. Didn't have the cleanest of goes early on. Pinched, got a little bit wonky, bobbled. Thought he made a fine enough move. Didn't like how he was lugging in down the lane. I don't know if it was distance that was ultimately why he was coming in, or he was just being a little bit green. I'm willing to find out, though, because I think he's run good races in every one of his 5 starts, excuse me. The number 4, Noble Commander, if he can successfully stretch out, I think he's a likely win candidate from Mark Cassie. Don't know what he was beating down in South Florida, but I have to be honest with you, he's run well in both of those starts, and if you think he can stretch out, he's obviously a main player. And Diamond King has yet to run a bad race. The only time you can say he didn't really run well is, the Kentucky Jockey Club, and he happened to clip heels going into the first turn, dump the rider, draw a line through that. Otherwise, you're left with a very, very talented horse, and at face value, pedigree-wise, he should probably be able to handle the additional distance. As far as a backup is concerned, maybe this is a mistake for me making this horse a C as opposed to an A, but American Lincoln for Linda Rice, I just don't know where that run on March the 16th came from, because prior to that, this horse is not fast enough to win. The effort on March 16th, winning by 18 3/4 lengths with an 82 Beyer speed figure and a 115 time form U.S. rating, that all of a sudden makes this horse a prime contender, if not the horse to beat. I don't know which one we're going to get, and I hope that I have the ability to be alive to this horse just in case, because you're going to get a decent number on this horse. And I suppose there's a scenario where he's just the best horse in the race. But I'm only going to use this horse as a C. Again, hopefully I can get through with my A's to this point. So just as a quick recap for the Federico Tessio, 4 deep in here, 3 A's, the 2, the 4, and the 6. And the backup for me is the 8, American Lincoln. Again, a fun sequence down at Laurel Park on Saturday afternoon. All stakes Pick 4 sequence starts in race number 7. Scheduled post time for the first leg of this Pick 4 sequence is 4:10 Eastern. Best of luck.